daily sending is a lot of work, right? So it's requiring, number one, constant content creation. You need something new to say every single day, which kind of gets exhausting and potentially can be repetitive. Number two is inherently the more that you send, you're going to have higher unsubscribe rates. Not everyone is going to want daily emails, especially if they weren't led to believe the emails are coming daily. And then the last one is also like kind of stronger list segmentation. So you can't send the same message to everyone every single day.
Yo, Chase, what's up, dude?
Hey, bud, how are you?
Hey, man, I was wondering, do you think domain names matter anymore these days?
Yes and no. I've seen some interesting data on .com still being like the king in terms of search. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. Um, I don't know. It's hard. I go back and forth. What are your thoughts?
I don't know either. I don't think it matters that much as long as you have a good name, something memorable, something easy to remember, type, whatever it might be. Or sometimes really hard to type is not a bad thing either.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple examples recently where people have a domain, it's not the .com, and then someone buys the .com that's like a competitor and steals all their traffic. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. It's hard.
The internet age is here, dude. Well, with that, you ready to shoot this pod? I want to talk about the perfect email cadence. You ready?
Yeah, let's run it.
All right, three, two, one.
From the open to the click, they're the masters of the flow. Just watch your list grow and your leads turn to go. Did we retain you so far, or do we have to extend it? If you want results, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Send It, where we discuss anything and everything retention marketing, specifically in email and SMS marketing and e-commerce. My name is Jimmy Kim, and I'm here with my co-host.
Chase Dimond.
All right, Chase. So yesterday, I got a DM from a founder. And look, I get a lot of DMs from people, but this one said something that kind of triggered as I was thinking about what we should do for the pod today. And the question he had was, how often should I email list? I'm scared of annoying people.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's probably one of the more common, if not the most common question in email marketing, right? Right behind, I guess, what ESP should I use? Maybe that's the only other one that's popular.
Yeah, you're right. And here's the thing, everyone's looking for like the magic number. I think that's the funny way to look at it. Send 3 times, only email on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But the truth is a lot more nuanced. Some brands can email daily and make a killing, some even twice a day, or sometimes just twice a week and see diminishing returns. So today I want to do a pod around email cadence, daily sending versus weekly sending versus campaign based, what works, what doesn't, and how to figure out the right frequency for your own brand. Because here's what most people get wrong. They're optimizing for unsubscribe rates rather than revenue. And I think that's a backwards way of thinking about it. And if you're scared of unsubscribes that you'll never send emails, if you're so scared of unsubscribes that you're never going to send emails, you're leaving massive amount of money on the table. So today on this pod, let's talk about that sweet spot, like where you're maximizing revenue without burning your list. So Chase, if you think about the frequency and the cadence, what are your approaches that you think about?
Yeah, I think about this as like the equilibrium standpoint. So to what you mentioned, right? You've got all different types of senders, and everyone's kind of optimizing for different things, and they all have pros and cons, right? So you've got everything from daily senders to weekly senders to specific time and place campaign-based senders, and everything in between, right? And again, each does have its pro and con. So daily sending means that you're in your subscribers' inboxes, let's call it 5 days for if you're just doing daily during the work week, or 7 if you're doing literally every single day. And maybe even you're sending more, right? There's companies like, different big newsletters like the Skim, Morning Brew, etc. Even e-commerce folks like Chubbies, they email every single day, dude. Heck, I guess we do too, right? With our ecom email newsletter as well, we send every single day.
So daily sending, what do you think are the benefits?
I think there's a few. I think kind of 3 quick ones would be, number one, it allows you to constantly and consistently stay top of mind. You're always in people's inboxes, and they're going to think of you often and probably first. Number two is it gives you more opportunities to convert. So more emails equals more chances to catch someone at the right time. It's really hard to time it unless it's like an automated email, getting person the right time. So just getting the repetitions in of those daily type sends, That's a big advantage. And the last one I'd say is kind of more focused on like audience conditioning. So your subscribers expect daily emails and it kind of becomes a part of their routine.
Okay, those are good. Those are good pros. But what about downsides? What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, with every pro, there's obviously cons, right? So daily sending requires, it's a lot of work, right? So it's requiring, number one, constant content creation. You need something new to say every single day, which kind of gets exhausting and potentially can be repetitive. Number two is inherently, the more that you send, you're going to have higher unsubscribe rates. Not everyone is going to want daily emails, especially if they weren't led to believe the emails are coming daily. And then the last one is also like kind of stronger list segmentation. So you can't send the same message to everyone every single day. I think daily sending works best for kind of a specific type of person or company or brand, let's call it. I'd say like someone that's focusing on like a content driven brand, maybe like a media company, or even like a brand with like kind of a deep product catalog. That's probably better, right? So maybe if you're a coffee brand with 30 SKUs, you can rotate through products. However, if you have like a jewelry brand with, let's call it like 5 SKUs, 7 SKUs, 8 SKUs, sending daily emails get repetitive and kind of just to be a lot really quick.
No, that's spot on. I agree with all those points, and I think that's really good.
Hey there, it's Chase, and I hope you're enjoying the pod so far. I want to quickly talk to you about one of our sponsors. And yes, sales tax, I know no one wants to hear this. However, if you are selling online, you're probably spending way too much time, money, and stress on something that needs to be automated. Enter Kintsugi. They're named after the Japanese art of turning broke pottery into something beautiful and resilient. And that's exactly what they do for your tax chaos. Their AI monitors, files, and optimizes your sales tax automatically across all states and jurisdictions. We're talking about saving you some serious time. Their average customer saves 9 hours every single month. That's over 100 hours a year that you're going to get back to focus on actually growing your business. And here's where it gets really good. No longer will you have to have expensive tax professionals that eat into your profits. Kintsugi's AI handles compliance with a 98.3% reduction in errors. That's practically bulletproof accuracy. And they have many one-click integrations with your existing systems. That means the setup is painless, and their white glove support team has your back every step of the way. Sales tax headaches? Consider them eliminated forever. And it's for e-commerce, SaaS, and even agencies. Really, anyone that pays a sales tax needs this, and they need Kintsugi. And we have a very, very special offer for you. So if you mention myself and Jimmy, you'll get 3 months completely free. That's 3 months of automated tax filing.
Okay, so let's flip over to the next one you said, which was weekly sending. The safe approach, I guess, which is like 1 to 3 emails per week.
Yeah, and I say across all the brands that you and I have worked with, all the ones that we've audited, and just frankly what we see through kind of inbox or inbooks, I should say. I think this is where most brands probably live, right? At least kind of e-commerce brands. They send Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe Tuesday or Thursday, some kind of pattern like that, let's call it.
And what do you think the benefits here are for that side?
Yeah, the big one that comes to mind is the balance part, right? You stay kind of present without overwhelming people. And it's manageable, right? You're creating 2 to 3 pieces of content a week versus 5 to 7 plus.
Okay, and then what are the downsides? Then you think?
I'd say the downside here is, you're giving your competitors who potentially are sending more frequently, you're giving them that extra 4 to 5 kind of chances to steal your prospects and your customers' attention while you're quiet and you're silent. So I think if you're like a one weekly email type person that gets buried in the inbox, you've literally lost an entire week of people, hearing from you essentially.
No, no, no. That's right. If I'm like traveling and it's Tuesday and or slammed at work, right? I might not even see it ever.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like when you send emails, the number of people that open them, right? Someone sends an email, only let's say 2 to 4 out of 10 people might actually see that. And if you sent an email and no one opened it, did you actually send it? That's like kind of the thing. So again, weekly sending I think works for brands with longer purchase cycles, kind of higher price points, or maybe less urgency is kind of what I think.
Hmm, that's good. I like that. All right, let's go to the last one. I like this one because I think this is where a lot of people sit. But campaign-based sending, which means that you're only sending email when you have something to say, new launches, sales, restock, collabs. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'd say this is probably the second most popular approach, right? I think the first is what we just mentioned a couple times a week, and then there's this, and then there's the daily. This is more of kind of like quote unquote like the quality over quantity approach, where you maybe send 2 emails one week, zero the next, five during a launch, and it's very sporadic.
Okay, so what's the upside here? What do you think?
I'd say with this is more, kind of for those folks that feel like they quote unquote want to be intentional, kind of feels more intentional and kind of really like there's a goal in mind. You're not just emailing to email. And when you do show up, people pay attention because I guess it's rare, right?
Yeah, and what about the downsides?
This is the inconsistency, right? Your list forgets about you, and when you finally send an email after a couple weeks of silence, your deliverability has the potential to tank because an ISP flags you as, frankly, inconsistent.
Yeah, I get that one. Plus, you're relying on having something to say here, and sometimes brands overthink this and they wait for the perfect moment instead of just staying in touch.
Yeah, and there's just something about like getting into a routine and rhythm. With this, it doesn't allow you to get there. So it's kind of like the whole out of sight, out of mind thing. I think like with this whole campaign kind of based works, I'd say it probably works for like luxury brands, maybe kind of limited edition drop type brands or brands that just have infrequent restocks. For example, I think like Supreme is one that people know and understand and can get behind, right?
Yeah.
High end fashion or kind of artisan type goods.
Okay. Well, all right. Let's get into the data because I think that everyone is scared if that they email more people, people will unsubscribe and revenue will tank ultimately. But the data tells a different story. And I know we've tested this with a dozen brands, and you have two when you go from 2 emails to four or three to six.
Yeah, look, not in 100% of cases, but I'd say in almost every case, revenue does go up, even if unsubscribes do increase slightly.
You have like an example of one that you can share?
Yeah, so I'd say like a brand that we were working with, they were sending about around 2 emails a week on average, and their unsubscribe rate was like 0.15, right? And the open rate was around 38-ish%, and they were doing around 40K per month from email.
Okay, that's a solid baseline. So what did you do?
Yeah, so we a little more than doubled kind of the send. So we went from about 2 a week to about 5 a week on average. Some weeks it was four, some weeks it was six, so about 5 a week on average. Unsubscribes went up a little bit, went from point one, what did I say, what one
One
five
five.
to
Yep.
yeah, about 0.25, right? So it went up a little bit. Open rates did kind of drop down a little bit as well from like the 38 I mentioned before to about 32-ish%. But guess what actually happened to the revenue?
I'm guessing it went up.
It went up. So they started doing about $68,000 per month, where before they were doing only about 40,000. So it's pretty significant.
Hey, it's Jimmy. Quick 15 seconds of your time because I have something fun to share. Did you know between the two of us, Chase and I, we have over 20 years of experience in email marketing? Recently, we put our minds together to create a certification program that takes all of our knowledge and share it to the world. It's called Ecom Email Certified. It's an end-to-end course certification program that's designed to take anyone, regardless if you're a newbie or an experienced marketer, founder, executive, agency marketer, or any marketing professional, to teach them everything we know about email marketing SMS. From deliverability to AI to copywriting to design to strategy, we cover it all. It's loaded with 175 modules and 25 hours of education combined with quizzes, community, all designed to educate, test, certify you to become a full-fledged email marketer for e-commerce. And so, since you're listening to this pod, we want to reward you with loyalty by giving you a coupon for $200 off this certification. Just jump over to ecomemailcertified.com, check the show notes, and now back to your pod. Okay, so the TLDR is unsubscribes went up, opens went down percentage-wise, but revenue crushed it ultimately.
Yeah, dude, if you think about that too on an annual basis, like I think there was an extra 28 grand for the month. If you analyze that, that's six figures in additional revenue
Yeah.
just by doing a little bit extra work every week.
No, that's pretty powerful, man. That's a lot of extra dollars.
Yeah, and right, like I think the reason that works is more emails equals more opportunities. So even if fewer people open each individual email, you're getting basically more total opens and more total clicks across any given week.
Well, hold on. Let's back up for a second because I think that one of the things you tapped on, which I think you're right about, is that most people are so scared about unsubscribe. That's what paralyzes brands. What do you think about this, man?
Yeah, I think the reality is like a point 0.2 kind of to a point 0.5 unsubscribe rate. That's totally normal and healthy. So they went from probably a better than average unsubscribe rate before, and now they're perfectly in the normal healthy range, right? I think it just shows that they just were not sending enough, right?
Okay, wait. Why is a higher unsubscribe rate sometimes good here?
I think it's because it means that you're leaving nothing behind. Like you're being bold, you're being a little bit more aggressive, you're taking a stance, you're showing personality, you're sending with frequency and intent. The people who unsubscribe probably weren't going to buy anyways, is what I always think.
No, I definitely can subscribe to that. Like if someone's been on your list for 6 months and never bought anything, them unsubscribing is actually probably good for your deliverability.
Yeah, that's spot on. I mean, you want people that are engaged, not just a zombie list that's big just to say it's big.
Yeah.
So it's
That makes
interesting.
sense. Okay, so the goal isn't to minimize unsubscribers. The goal is to maximize revenue per subscriber. So let's talk about the open rate because this trips people off too. Everyone obsessives, and you know this thing where our open rate dropped from 40 to 35%. What do we do? What do you think
Yeah,
about that?
man, the panic, right?
Yeah.
Um, the reality is open rates will decline slightly as you increase frequently, and that's okay.
Okay. Why do you think that?
I'd say because even if your open rate per email drops, your total number of opens actually does increase. Let's just do the math, right?
Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's break this down with scenarios. So scenario one, going back to that example I shared, 2 emails per week to 100,000 people. And let's just say for round math, I know it's 38% before, but we're going to call it 40% now. So that's about 80,000 total opens per week, right?
Okay, got it.
Okay, so now we're going to send 5 emails per week to that same list of 100,000 people. And instead of the 32%, just for the easy math, we're going to come down to 30%, right? So now you're actually at 150,000 total opens, whereas before you were at 80,000, right? So that's almost double, dude.
Yeah, so even though the rate dropped, you're getting more eyeballs, right?
Exactly. And more opens equals more clicks, which equals more revenue.
No, that's spot on. And one thing we've noticed before is when you increase frequency, your most engaged subscribers tend to buy or engage more.
Yeah, bingo, right? Because they're already opening everything. Now they just have more opportunities to click and buy.
Yeah. So if your VIPs love it and your unengaged people might unsubscribe, both are kind of good outcomes, I would say.
Yep. And you're strengthening your core while kind of shedding kind of the dead weight of people that are just costing you money and hurting your deliverability.
All right. No, I'm into this. So, okay. How does a brand figure out the right cadence? Because you can't just copy what someone else is doing here, right?
Right. Yeah, I'd say the cadence depends on a number of factors. So I think we should walk through them. Do you want to share the first one that you feel like makes sense?
Yeah, I've got them written down here. So let me go ahead and look
Okay.
at these. Okay, so first factor one, product catalog size. How many products do you have?
Yeah, that's a great one. If you have hundreds of SKUs, let's call it 200 plus SKUs, you can send daily, right? You can rotate through collections, highlight different products, tell different stories. Like there's just a lot of stuff that you can do. For example, let's say a fashion brand that sells tops, bottoms, dresses, accessories, seasonal collections, the list goes on, right? You can literally send an email every single day and never have to repeat yourself. For example, though, if you only have 5 or 10 SKUs, daily emails get repetitive. You're showing the same product over and over and over again.
No, that makes sense. So a smaller catalog should stick to 2 to 4 emails per week. That makes a lot of sense there. Okay. The second one I have is the purchase frequency. How often do people buy from you? I can understand this. If you're a coffee brand and your people pre-order or reorder monthly, you
Yeah.
can email often. They're in the market frequently, ultimately.
Yeah, it's spot on. Whereas, like, if you sell something like a mattress that's expensive and you don't need a mattress all the time, you need one maybe every 3 to 7 years, or even like an engagement ring, right? Where it's like a one-time purchase. You don't need to email weekly. You can do more of that kind of campaign-based approach. That might make more sense.
No, I agree with that. And unless you're building like a content brand like Casper, for example, their emails are about sleep tips, not just mattress tips. I know I'm on their list. That's why I say that. But that's a good one.
Yeah, and I like that too. Probably I'd probably more edge towards there because you're providing value beyond just products, and you can get away with emailing more, which just keeps you kind of top of mind and just allows you to build a process.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the third factor. This one says brand voice and content depth. Do you have something interesting to say about? every time you email? What do you think about this?
Yeah, this is really important. I'd say brands that email daily, they usually have to have strong content, right? They used to have kind of strong point of view to make this achievable, right?
Yeah, I think this brings up, and you mentioned them earlier, like Chubbies. They're not just saying buy shorts every day. They're telling stories, making you laugh. They're kind of building that like lifestyle brand.
Yeah, and I think there's a reason that everyone historically represents and kind of points to them. They just do such a great job. So, with that, if your emails are only promotional, like if you're going to just do 20% off buy now every single time, you cannot sustain daily sending, right? However, if you do mix in things like content, UGC, behind the scenes, storytelling, you absolutely can send daily.
Yeah. Okay. So you should be asking yourself, can I create 5 to 7 unique, valuable emails per week? And if not, then
Yep.
dial back frequency. Makes a lot of sense there. All right.
Hey there, it's Chase here. I hope you're enjoying the pod, but I want to get just 30 seconds of your time real quick to tell you about one of our sponsors who let us make this great podcast. So first, I want to start with a question for you. Do you ever find yourself staring at a blank page, waiting for inspiration to strike? Your marketing campaigns don't have to suffer when your creativity runs dry. Omnisend has recently launched their most powerful AI update yet, and it is awesome. Its AI completely transforms how you can create and send your next marketing messages. And here's really what's incredible. Their AI doesn't just write your emails, but it actually helps you write really compelling subject lines, pre-header text that are geared to increase your open rates and ultimately build customer segments in a heartbeat. And just whisper to the AI who you're targeting, and it's going to figure out all the complex segmentation for you. So that way you have no more guessing games. But hey, wait, it gets better. Their AI writer actually now proactively suggests improvements to your copy, and it's going to adapt to your brand's unique voice and tone while following email marketing best practices. And their personalized product reminders analyzes your browsing behavior to serve up exactly what each of your customer wants and needs to see. And their campaign booster automatically resends emails to people who didn't open or engage with them, which helps lift revenue by an average of 13%. And now, with over 150,000 very happy customers already dominating their markets using Omnisend's email, SMS, and push notifications, plus they have 24/7 amazing support that actually responds fast and is very helpful, you're joining a winning team. So stop wrestling with writer's block and start letting AI do the heavy lifting for you. Visit omnisend.com and experience the future of marketing automation. Let them know that Jimmy and I sent you, and now back to the pod.
The fourth factor here is list engagement. I think this is important. How engaged is your list right now? And I can kind of start this one off and say, if your open rate is 30% and your click rate is 3%, you can probably increase your frequency because your list is pretty hungry.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Whereas if your stuff is only a percentage of that, if you're at, let's call it 15% open rates and 0.5% click rate, increasing frequency probably doesn't help. You probably first need to fix your content and segmentation before you think about scaling.
Yeah, that's right. Like if the people aren't open your first 2 emails per week, sending 5 is not going to magically fix this thing. All right. The fifth factor we have here is competitive inbox landscape. What are your competitors doing? Look, it's already a crowded inbox, especially if you're in like D2C fashion or beauty or supplements. You need to show up more often and kind of stay top of mind. So what do you think about competitive inbox?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think if you're in a niche with less email noise, you can get away with less frequency.
So do an audit, subscribe to 5 to 10 competitors, see how often how often they email. That's kind of your baseline, I would say, to what you need to do in the market.
And dude, it is so easy now. You just have to go to inbox, so basically inbox with two O's and AI, I guess, right? Is it inbox
Yeah,
inbox.ai?
inbooks.ai.
You just got to go there and we literally tee all of this up for you on a silver platter. It's amazing. You don't have to have an
Chase,
email.
you didn't do the show right, man. Like that wasn't a smooth shill. You got to be like, and if you're looking for those emails, you can just slide right over to inbooks.ai to get your emails, right? Okay.
And then
All right.
the value speaks for itself on the website. So go to the website.
Link in the show descriptions. All right. All right. Let's talk about how you actually test your cadences. All right. So look, Start with your baseline, and I'm going to kind of share how this works, Chase, because I've seen this work a lot of times for people, and this is what I tell my clients, and I'll give you that information, right?
Okay.
So let's say you're sending 2 emails per week today. Step one, you increase that by 50%. So you go from 2 to 3 emails for the next 4 to 6 weeks, okay? And you track
Okay.
these metrics: total email revenue, revenue per email, your unsubscribe rate, and your list growth rate. Are you gaining or losing subscribers net, right? You need to know what's going on there. Then you take the step two. If your revenue increases, your unsubscribed stay under 0.5, you increase again and go to 4 emails per week. And you keep testing until your plateaus or your unsubscribed spike to 0.7 to 1%, which sounds high, but that's just your ceiling. Then you
Yeah.
dial it back slightly to find your sweet spot. The key here is to document everything, take screenshots of your revenue dashboards, and track week over week on these changes. Any other things, Chase, that I didn't mention here?
No, I love that. I'd say like the biggest thing with actually the documenting is you're going to forget the data if you don't do that, right? And 3 months from now, when someone says, we should email less, you can basically
Mhm.
pull up the results and be like, actually, here's what happened when we increased.
Yeah, and here's where it gets really interesting, Chase. You don't have to pick one cadence and stick with it forever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'd say the best brands, they kind of mix cadence based on calendar, inventory, audience. They're really doing things on the fly.
Like right now during BFCM, the holiday seasons, you're emailing daily or multiple times a day, and that's kind of expected because your buyers are expecting those emails. But in January and February, those slower months, you might have to pull back to 3 emails per week. So your cadence breathes with your business almost.
Yeah, and I think your subscribers are smart where they've come to understand this, right? They don't expect the same frequency in February as they do in like a November or December.
Yeah. And you can, one of the other ways you can think about it is you can think about the different frequencies or to different segments ultimately. Like a VIP might get 5 emails per week, a general subscriber might get 3, and an unengaged list might get 1, right? And look, most ESPs let you exclude segments. You send your 5 emails per week and exclude your unengaged people from 2 of them. That way, your engaged subscribers get everything, but you're not hammering those inactive people.
Yeah, and with the inactive people, they might stick around longer because they're not overwhelmed, right?
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And another approach I would say to this thought process is kind of like the steady baseline with campaign bursts. And what I mean by that is this is what's recommended for most brands. Send 2, 3 emails per week normally, but on product launches ramp to 5 to 7 per week. So you're training your list to expect consistency, but then conditioning them that when we email a lot, something big must be happening. Like you got to create excitement.
Yeah, exactly. And during those kind of burst weeks, unsubscribes unsubscribes probably might spike slightly, but revenue spikes way more, which is frankly what I care about.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing today on this pod,
Okay.
balance your flows and campaigns. What are your thoughts around there?
Yeah, I'd say if you're sending like 5 campaigns per week, plus your flows are blasting people, you might be oversending unless you're trying to oversend and send a daily email. So count total emails, not just the specific
Mm.
campaign. So if someone's getting 3 campaign emails plus 2 flow emails in the same week, that equals 5. And also use like flow suppression. So if someone received a campaign email today, I'd probably consider suppressing them for the next like 12 to 24 hours.
That way, people aren't getting your sale email and your abandoned cart email within the same hour, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'd say most CSPs like OmniSend, et cetera, they do have this type of smart sending or kind of flow suppression settings. You just have to actually use them.
Okay. All right. I know I said last thing, but I have one more thought. Red flags. Let's talk about this because I think this is important. How do you know when you're sending too much?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say the warning signs are as follows. So, number one is you're kind of consistently seeing unsubscribe rates above 1% per email. If that's the case, something's definitely wrong.
What do you think is causing that usually?
Yeah, I think it's a few things. I think number one is you're sending too often. That's number one. Number two is your content is irrelevant or boring, right? Sorry, but it's just probably too vanilla. And number three is you're probably over promoting and under delivering value.
So basically, if I audit my last 10 emails and if they all say buy now 20% off, that's going to burn your people out.
Yep. And if your open rates and click rates are dropping week after week, you're sending too much or your content is just stale.
Okay. So what's the fix there then, you think?
I'd say pulling back frequency by probably like 30-ish to 50-ish% for a couple weeks, and really double down and focus on quality. So sending fewer emails, but making them better. So just having more intent and more focus behind the emails. Also, too, testing things like subject lines, content formats, and angles is super, super important. And if you're sending more emails, but revenue per email is dropping, you're probably just diluting your impact.
Yeah. So if you're used to making like 5K per email and now you're making 1K per email, that's probably a problem.
Yeah, exactly. It means that people are tuning you out. So if that's the case, you either need to improve content or reduce your frequency.
Yeah. And if you're also, the spam complaint is important to see here. If people
Yeah.
marking as spam instead of unsubscribing, that's really bad, actually.
Yeah, it is really bad. That's going to tank your sender reputation deliverability very, very fast.
Yeah. And usually because I think emailing these people who didn't opt in or you have been inactive for months and suddenly start blasting him, it can cause a lot of alarming like spam complaints and all that stuff. So I think it's important. Clean your list, use double opt-in, never buy lists, yada, yada, yada. Just being good stewards of marketing ultimately.
Yeah, for sure. And when you should kind of reduce your frequency. So unsubscribe rate is above zero point 0.7 to 1%. Open rate is below 15%. You see your revenue is declining despite more emails, and you're seeing kind of customer complaints about email volume. So it's not a failure to dial back. It's just being strategic.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. All right. So let's close this thing out. Wow. Let's recap. Quick playbook. If you're listening and you want to optimize your cadence, this is what I've kind of learned as we've talked back and forth. We've planned this one. So step one, you benchmark your current stage. You track your current emails. You document your current open rates, your click rates, your unsubscribe, and even calculate your revenue per email and total email revenue. That's step one.
Yeah.
Step two, you're going to identify your brand type. Do you have a large catalog with a lot of SKUs? That means you should send daily. You have a small catalog under 50 SKUs, then 2 to 4 times per week. Do you want content heavy brand? Then you can email more often. But if you just want to do promos, then you limit yourself to 2 to 3, right? Figure out where you fall into there. And now you start testing. Whatever you're at today, you increase 50%. So if you're at 2 already, you go to 3. You run that for 4 to 6 weeks and you monitor that revenue, unsubscribe, and engagement ultimately. And then you should also step 4, go into segmenting that cadence, right? Your VIPs, which mean are people who are in your top of your bell curve on LTV, should get maximum frequency because they want to hear from you. Engaged subscribers should get that standard, and unengaged people should get reduced frequency or even sunset them and get really tight there. Step 5 is you want to mix that content type. Don't send promotional emails, mix in storytelling, UGC, education, behind the scenes, and various CTAs, because not every email needs to directly sell, but you do want them to do something with that click, right? Even follow your social, for example. Another good tip that Chase said, and I'll put this as step 6, which was use flow suppression, which is suppressing people from flows if they've received a campaign for the last 12 to 24 hours, and don't let people get too many emails over the totality of a week. Basically, make sure you're suppressing. And last but not least, I would say monitor and adjust, right? So you check your metrics weekly and dial back if your unsubscribe spikes above 0.7 to 1.1% and increase it if your revenue grows without engagement drop. And remember, look, the perfect cadence is one that maximizes revenue without burning out your list.
Dude, that was amazing. There's no universal answer. Test, track, and trust your data ultimately.
Yeah, people love this answer, but the answer to this answer is it depends. And so with that, that's a wrap for the perfect email cadence. And yeah.
Love it, man. If you're still listening and you're going to actually test your cadence after this, please let us know what you find and kind of what you see. We absolutely love seeing results in either direction, right? We're pretty sure this is going to only help you improve and increase, but God forbid it actually decreases anything, let us know as well.
And if you're too scared to increase your frequency as you're listening to this, just go subscribe to the biggest brands in the world, or just check out the number of emails we find on inbooks.ai versus a small brand that you might not see. There's a reason why we targeted the biggest and largest and fastest growing Shopify stores, because there's one thing in common with those guys. They all send a heck of a lot of email. With that today, that is a wrap. If you enjoyed today's pod, please make sure you subscribe, follow, and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast listening platform. We are primarily on YouTube. Our YouTube is exploding, so we'd love for you to come check us out, subscribe, and look at our pretty faces, yada, yada, yada. And you can follow the show on all the social channels, X, LinkedIn, YouTube, IG, TikTok, etc. If you made it this far, I'm going to plug some stuff that we're doing right now. You got inbooks.ai. That's a AI-driven search marketplace of your favorite brands, almost a million emails in there of your top Shopify brands. eClick Track, that's going to help you track and control every click that's going out in your email and SMS with pretty branded links and full control and analytics. We've got Ecom Email Marketer. That's where you subscribe to your newsletter, and then Ecom Email Certified. That's our community and course. Dude, I got too much pitching here. It's probably not good. This is like a CTA sandwich right now. But if you skimmed over all this and you just want to listen to the final part, Chase, where can they find you so they can bug you?
Most platforms, Chase, no A in Dimond.
There you go. And you can find me on LinkedIn next today. With that, Chase, that is a wrap. I'll catch you next week, dude.
Cheers, man.
All right, see ya.
From the open to the click, they're the masters of the flow. Just watch your list grow and your leads turn to go. Did we retain you so far, or do we have to extend it? If you want results, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it. Yeah, you know you gotta send it.